I kid you not, Arbiter. He turns himself into a pickle. He's called Pickle Rick. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, shit! This is something else.
I've got you in my sights.
Man, I'm dead.
How's it going? Welcome back, my beautiful sinners, to another great and amazing, majestical, fantastical, moist video with your boy, the Savior. That's right, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, which is incredibly likely, go down below and subscribe. It's very, very simple. Just you know, no, Jason, just a little tap, okay, on the subscribe button, and that would mean so much to me. You have no idea. Also, check out my music on Spotify. And let's get on with the video. Don't be alarmed, Sunny Jims. You are in the right place for, professional and progressive content. So, if you're like me, you probably grew up on the Halo games, okay? They were my childhood, and for many people, they were their childhood, okay? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a Sony little fanboy or if you're an Xbox warrior, I couldn't care. It's very, very cringy. You need to get over it, Sunny Jim. What matters is that Halo is a fantastic game series, okay? Now, personally, my favorite one being Halo 2, because, I mean, that just stepped it up, didn't it? The storyline was unpredictable, and it changed things up. You never knew what was gonna happen. Woo, 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 woo! The most popular one, of course, being Halo 3, and yeah, that is a very solid campaign. And Halo has always been known for having these scripted, standout, just fantastical moments, okay? It doesn't matter that it was linear, because now every game has to be open world, okay? But Halo didn't care about any of that open world game design. Even when open world games were starting to become super trendy and super popular, it always kept with its roots, which is what made Halo so good. Now, Bungie, of course, made the best Halo games, being 1, 2, and 3, ODST. That was very good as well, and I think we all hate Halo 5 because it just kind of destroyed the storyline. And, you know, the best Halo games were, of course, the classic originals with the standout moments, the fantastical music score that, you know, just, it feels like my soul is being cleansed. It's like, I don't need to go to church, okay? I just need to slap on my cans and just listen to the Halo soundtrack, and I feel like all of my sins and all of my past deeds are just wiped clean as the Halo music baptizes me in its pure awesomeness. Welcome, boyos, to the Halo Infinite review, okay? This is my review of Halo Infinite. Today, I'm going to be answering the question, is Halo Infinite worth buying? Should you buy Halo Infinite? I know these are very important topics because I'm all about giving you factual and important information. So check out all my other videos if you want more of that. Ooh. So is Halo Infinite worth buying? Today I will answer that question in my Halo Infinite review, okay? So let's first start off with what's good about Halo Infinite, okay? Now, personally, Halo Infinite, I think, is not going to return to the classic OG standard of perfection, okay? It's never gonna reach those heights ever again, but Halo Infinite is fun. The gameplay is fresh and new because, funny enough, they actually added some new mechanics. Wow, imagine that, adding new mechanics to a AAA game in 2021. I know that's pretty unheard of, and just the fact that it even works and it's not a broken pile of shit like Battlefield or like GTA, the remastered trilogy, okay? I mean, that shouldn't be praiseworthy, but at least they actually took time to make sure it's not filled with so many bugs that it's literally unplayable, that it's not fundamentally broken. They aren't trying to milk the consumer for all the money that they have. So Halo Infinite, yes, of course it has its issues, there's always going to be bugs, but at least it's actually polished and it's far more finished than so many other AAA game studios that publish just absolute piles of janky wanky crap and they expect people to just keep on buying them. Please don't pre-order games because you're just giving in to the corporate entities that just want to make the most profit as possible. They don't care about quality entertainment anymore, and they just want to beat the consumer down so they have zero power. We really need to stop that, okay? But what about the actual game, Savior? Is it worth playing? Yes, Halo Infinite is actually pretty good, okay? Because the gameplay is very different from other Halo games. It's not a standard single-player storyline where, you know, you get sent on one mission and then you go on to another mission and the same thing over and over again. But that's what made Halo good, okay? Because it had such polished, scripted events that were just so amazing, and they could really create the perfect game because each level was handcrafted. And I think that's far better than just having a generic open world, and that is where Halo Infinite falls short, because it has no biodiversity. I mean, it's 2021, people. We need to have diversity in our bios, okay? I mean, it's just the same old map, which is just pretty laughable and pretty sad, actually, because it's not exciting to play, you know, after the first couple of hours, because you've pretty much seen everything that it already has to offer. There isn't, you know, like a snowy level like in Halo 1, like in Halo Combat Evolved. There isn't, you know, a built-up city area like we have in Halo 2. It's just the same forest area over and over again. And, you know, it takes the same setbacks that Halo Combat Evolved had with reusing assets time and time again. So every time you enter a building, it's just the same assets reused, and that feels really lazy and really cheap. So, you know, it has pros and it has cons, but the gameplay is what makes it fun, because this time you can actually experiment. You can actually, you know, use physics-based objects and use your new mechanics with the grappling hook and, you know, just fly yourself across the map, do all of this crazy stuff, you know, explode all of these different barrels and chuck these exploding barrels, and that just makes my monkey brain go booga wooga, because, you know, I like explosions. But then again, you know, it has pros and cons, because with the original classics, the OGs of Halo, they were so good as FPS shooters, because when you shot a goddamn monkey grunt, it would just ooze all of this gunky goo everywhere, and that was just so satisfying for your eyes to see that you were just making this poor, you know, muzzled little alien, a little muzzled servant. Okay, that sounds pretty close to home, doesn't it? As the whole world is okay. This music, I don't like it. All of that gooey mess was very satisfying. It was very nice to just get in there and slip around all of it and just, oh, you know, I liked it, okay? It was very engaging when I was a young little boy and I just pumped a grunt full of lead and I could just make this beautiful artistic piece of blue and green goo, this Covenant gooey mess. Really just, it was very visually pleasing, okay? You know, it made me feel less self-conscious when I made a gooey mess. So all of that has been toned down, because now in 2021 everything is super sensitive, and we all know that games now are for everyone. It doesn't matter about the age rating, and this is basically going to be played by adults and little kiddies. Adults, kiddies, and little adults. I mean, there's no difference. We're all men. You know, men in 2021 are basically just children, and that means all of the grit from Halo has kind of been stripped away. I don't like that, okay? Another thing that made the original so good was the fantastical explosions. All of the chunks were physically real. It would explode everywhere. They've just made it all kind of feel a little bit lackluster, a little bit cheap. When you shoot something down, there's not so many particles and all of that stuff. But the gameplay is very fluid. You have different ways of interacting. It's open world, like Metro Exodus, in little chunk areas. So you have the freedom to basically tackle an objective how you want. But it's the same thing with all of these recycled and regurgitated games like Far Cry from Ubisoft. You know, after a while you feel like, why the hell am I doing this objective? Because it just feels like another, you know, it just feels like copy and pasted content if the content is not unique, okay? And if the objective isn't different from another objective, then it really makes you question, why the hell am I even doing this? Because it just feels like there's no purpose to it. There's no motivation to keep playing. Having the same open world game missions, okay, fails to capture your imagination, and, you know, it just feels like it's recycled, and it's not as interesting to play as the classic original Halo games, where, you know, you have a mission, you know what you're doing, there's a linear path, You know how to tackle that mission because it gives you the set weapons to go tackle that mission. Ooh, this is going to be a stealth mission, so they're going to give you a sniper. You know, this time it's all just open-ended, which gives you far much more choice. That's very rewarding and it's fun to play with all of that freedom. But if the missions are just the same copy and pasted missions like save these Marines, save those Marines, destroy this base because it's a magical tower. For some reason you have to smash all 3 of these antennas because for some reason they built 3 of them and that's the only way to progress. You know, that kind of mission structure to me is kind of boring, and I think we've seen it time and time again, and I'm personally sick of it, and I think a lot of people are sick of it. Halo shouldn't be open world, and Halo Infinite fails on its open world in my opinion, but the gameplay is still what makes it fun. It would just be far more better if there were extended and different biodiversity and different missions, and they weren't using the same assets time and time again for indoor locations, and you know, the missions had more structure to them, but how you tackle them is still open-ended. That would have been far better, but instead it's just an open world Halo game. It's fun, don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but it's not, you know, it's nowhere near the same levels as, it's nowhere near the same level of quality as Halo 1 and Halo 2 and Halo 3. That's just my opinion, okay? So, my review for Halo Infinite cannot be complete without mentioning the story, and Master Chief in this is a little bit more emotional, is a little bit more organic, and that's cool to see. The companion, the new little AI companion that you can just crunch down and shove it up your ass, you know, because it's portable, to me that wasn't as interesting as Cortana. You know, it never was that interesting. Halo story with Master Chief and Cortana, you know, that was good, but it's never super engaging. It's about the Halo world space and the galaxy, the universe, and the Covenant, and, you know, just the rich lore of the universe is what makes Halo so good, and these amazing set pieces, like I said, in the story campaign. In Halo Infinite, it fails to capture that same creativity, in my opinion, and the story is just kind of so-so. It's not bad, it's not great, the characters can be sometimes a little bit annoying. You know, the pilot guy, to me, you know, he's just there for comedic relief, and I really hate the fact that every single game now has to have some kind of jokester in it, because nothing can be taken seriously. The establishment with its media is slowly just, you know, sinking in this idea to the human population that, you know, don't take life seriously, you know, it's all just a one big joke game, it's all just one big joke, and that's, you know, just being fed into all of our movies and video games, that, you know, you can't have a strong, serious narrative as much as we used to get. So I feel like this is a step in the right direction for the Halo franchise, okay? But I still think that the open world nature of this game and having an open world in Halo is not necessarily the right move, okay? Unless if they bring more diversity and more interesting locations to discover. The discovery element of an open world game is kind of lost in this, because it's all just about, you know, going to one objective and shooting them. There's nothing really to discover in the open world, so it's kind of boring. It doesn't need to be open world in my opinion, but the gameplay is what really stands out in Halo Infinite. The storyline is so-so. The Master Chief is pretty strong in this as a character, and that's interesting to watch, and this, you know, new Covenant group, the Banished, you know, who aren't really the Covenant, but, you know, it's interesting to see the storyline of that faction, and the villain behind them is quite interesting, but it's not, you know, very complicated, okay? It's not, you know, layered, but it's still pretty meaty, and there's lots of nice, interesting lore pieces to discover, but it's just not as strong as the original classics, and it never will be, in my opinion. A few people are even saying that Halo Infinite sucks, or Halo Infinite is bad. I personally don't think Halo Infinite sucks. I think it's a good game, and you should probably get it on sale, but, you know, I really am just anti-supporting massive gaming developers, because usually they produce trash. This is a positive thing for the gaming community, but we really need to expect more from our AAA games. We need to stop reusing this open world formula, because it's just really boring, and it's just so corporate. It's just so clear that they're just doing it to maximize profits. And yeah, it's a fun game, but it's not amazing. So that is my review of Halo Infinite. I hope all of this information has helped you in figuring out if Halo Infinite is worth buying or not. And let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.